When something grand is about to unfold, the world does not whisper its arrival, it trembles. The air changes, the winds shift, and suddenly life does not move as it once did. It is not always in the ways one expects. There is no grand announcement, no golden chariot descending from the heavens. No, it comes in whispers, in signs woven into the fabric of daily existence. Those who watch closely will see them. Those who listen with their souls will hear them. When something big is about to be placed into your hands, the signs will call your name, waiting for you to notice. But not all signs come draped in light. Not all signs arrive wrapped in ribbons of ease and comfort. No, before something magnificent comes, there is often a shaking, a stirring, a discomfort that presses into the bones, making the soul restless, making the heart unsure. Everything that was once steady begins to shift, and the ground beneath you feels uncertain. But it is not to harm you. No, it is to prepare you. It is to awaken the parts of you that have settled too long in places too small for the destiny that is waiting. There will be moments when doors close, and not gently. No, they will slam. Places where you once belonged will no longer feel like home. Friendships will dissolve without explanation. Opportunities that seemed certain will slip through your fingers. And you may stand in the middle of it all asking, why now? Why this? But this is not an ending. It is a clearing. It is a divine hand-making space where you have held on to things too tightly, afraid to release what is no longer meant to go with you. And then there is the waiting, the long stretching silence, the kind that makes you question whether you are forgotten, the kind that makes you doubt whether anything is coming at all. But waiting is never wasted. No, it is the moment before the dawn, the pause before the curtain lifts. It is where strength is forged, where faith is tested, where you learn that patience is not about standing still, but about standing strong. There will be a pull, an invisible thread tugging at the edges of your spirit, drawing you towards something you cannot yet name. Dreams you once dismissed will return with urgency. Desires buried beneath years of disappointment will surface again, knocking at the door of your heart. And in that moment, you will know this is not coincidence. This is calling, and just when you begin to grasp the weight of what is coming, resistance will rise. Not from strangers, no, but from the voices closest to you. Doubt will be spoken over your name. People who once believed in you will suddenly question your path. The world will not cheer when you are on the edge of something extraordinary. It will test you, push against you, demand that you prove you are worthy of what is ahead. And then, the last sign, the one that tells you the breakthrough is not near but here, you will feel an unshakable peace, not because the storms have calmed, but because you no longer fear them. You will wake up one day and know deep within that you are ready, not because you have everything figured out, but because you have learned that you do not need to. You have learned that what is meant for you will not pass you by. You have learned that the struggle was never a punishment, it was a preparation. And in that moment, you will stand on the threshold of something greater than you ever imagined, knowing that every sign, every trial, every moment of waiting was not a delay, but a promise. And just when you think you have grasped the depth of what is unfolding, the weight of the journey may press heavier upon you. The days might stretch longer, the nights might feel lonelier, and the echoes of old doubts might rise louder than before. It is in these moments that the heart is refined, that the spirit is tested, and that the very fabric of faith is strengthened. It is easy to believe when the road is smooth, when the stars align in your favor, when every step feels assured. But when the ground shakes, when the answers are delayed, when the silence feels unending, that is when you must stand firm. For something is shifting beneath the surface, even when your eyes cannot see it. There will be moments of inexplicable exhaustion, not just of the body, but of the mind and spirit. The weight of preparation will press upon you, urging you to retreat, to abandon the journey, to settle for something smaller than what was promised. But there is a stirring in the depths of the soul that refuses to let go, a whisper that reminds you that you have come too far, that you have endured too much, that what is ahead is greater than what is behind. And the changes will not only be external. No, the transformation will begin within. The things that once satisfied you will no longer fill you. The places that once brought comfort will begin to feel foreign. You will outgrow conversations, spaces, habits, mindsets. You will feel the call to become more, to stretch beyond the limits you once accepted. And it will be uncomfortable. Growth always is. But it is necessary. Because what is coming requires a new version of you, one that is bolder, wiser, stronger. And then there will be divine alignment, unexpected encounters, unforeseen opportunities, doors that you never knocked on will swing open, paths that were once blocked will be made clear, and it will not be by your doing. No, this is the moment when preparation meets purpose, when the unseen hand that has been guiding you all along begins to reveal its plan. But you must be willing to walk through. Fear will whisper that you are not ready, that the opportunity is too big, that you are not enough. But if it has been placed before you, it is because you were made for it. There will be people who do not understand, who question the shift in you, who do not see the vision you have been given, and that is because it was not given to them. It was placed in you. And not everyone is meant to walk with you into what is ahead. Some will leave. Some will fall away. Some will resist the change in you. Do not be distracted. Do not be discouraged. Every departure, every rejection, every loss is a necessary pruning, making space for what is meant to come. And in the midst of all of this, there will be a test, a moment that demands you prove whether you truly believe in what has been spoken over your life. It will not come as an easy choice. No, it will come in the form of sacrifice. It will come in the form of letting go of something you once held dear, something that no longer aligns with where you are going. And it will not be easy. It will feel like loss. It will feel like surrender. But what you release in faith will always be replaced with something greater. The weight of waiting will press on you one last time. The urge to give up, to turn back, to settle will become overwhelming. The temptation to question, to doubt, to resist will grow stronger. And this is when you will know you are close, closer than you have ever been. For the greatest resistance always comes before the breakthrough. And then suddenly the shift will come. The things you have been praying for, working for, preparing for will begin to unfold in ways you never imagined. The waiting will make sense. The struggle will reveal its purpose. And you will see that every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of uncertainty was not in vain. You will step into what was always meant for you, and you will know that nothing was ever lost. It was all leading you here. And when the shift begins, it will not come gently. It will not arrive with quiet footsteps, easing its way into your life. No, it will come like a mighty wind, like a force that can no longer be contained. It will break through the barriers that once held you back, tearing down the walls that fear had built around your destiny. And though you have waited for this moment, though you have longed for this breakthrough, there will be a part of you that hesitates, that wonders if you are truly ready. Because when something big is placed in your hands, it does not come without weight. It does not come without responsibility. You will look around and realize that the place you once stood no longer fits the person you have become. The things that once felt so urgent will no longer demand your attention. The distractions that once kept you bound will lose their power. You will feel a clarity you have never known, a certainty that does not come from logic but from deep within. The battle to believe in what is coming will end because now you see it, now you stand on the edge of it, but crossing over is a choice. And there will be resistance, not just from the world around you, but from within. The mind will try to hold on to what is familiar, even if the familiar was never enough. The heart will wrestle with the unknown, even if the unknown is where the promise lies. But if you do not move forward, if you do not step into the vastness of what has been prepared for you, you will find yourself trapped in a place too small, in a life that no longer fits. You will be tested one last time, not with failure, but with opportunity, not with loss, but with abundance. Because it is easy to trust in the struggle, in the waiting, in the longing. But when the door finally opens, will you walk through it? When the blessing is placed before you, will you take it? So many pray for the breakthrough, but hesitate when it arrives. So many dream of the moment, yet shrink when it calls their name. And that is why the preparation was necessary. That is why the stretching, the waiting, the refining had to happen. Because if this came before you were ready, you would not be able to hold it. If this arrived before you had the strength to sustain it, you would not be able to keep it. But now you have grown. Now you have become. And though the weight is great, your shoulders are strong. Though the calling is high, your spirit is steady. There will be signs in your own spirit, things you cannot explain, but can no longer ignore. A boldness that rises without invitation, a confidence that is not arrogance but certainty, a knowing that does not come from evidence but from faith. And when the time comes, when the door stands open, when the moment presents itself, you will know that this is it, that this is what the journey was for, that this is what every tear, every test, every trial was leading to. And when you step into it, the past will no longer define you. The mistakes, the detours, the delays, they will all fall away, no longer carrying the weight they once did, because now you see the purpose in it all. Now you understand why it had to happen the way it did, and now you are ready, not just for the blessing, but for the responsibility that comes with it. Not just for the opportunity, but for the new identity it requires. Because what is coming is not just about receiving, it is about becoming. It is about stepping into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. It is about carrying what has been given to you with wisdom, with grace, with purpose. And when that moment arrives, you will no longer ask if you are ready. You will no longer question if you are worthy. You will simply rise, you will step forward, you will walk in it, and you will know that you were always meant for this. And as you step forward, something within you will shift. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way you think, it will all change. Not because you are pretending to be someone else, but because you have finally become who you were always meant to be. The weight of past fears will lift, the voices of doubt will fade, and the hesitation that once held you back will no longer have power over you. Because when something big is placed in your hands, when destiny calls your name, you do not have the luxury of playing small anymore. You do not have the option to shrink, to remain where you have. There will be a new fire in you, one that cannot be extinguished by the opinions of others or the shadows of your past. You will no longer feel the need to explain yourself, to justify why you have changed, to seek validation from those who were never meant to understand your journey. The approval you once craved will no longer hold weight because you will see that it was never people who determined your purpose. It was always something greater, something unseen, something divine. And just as the signs of the struggle were undeniable, so too will be the signs of the breakthrough. The shift will not be subtle, it will be unmistakable. The doors that once remained shut will swing open effortlessly. The delays that once frustrated you will make way for acceleration. The resources you thought you lacked will suddenly appear. What once took years will now take moments, and what once seemed impossible will now be within reach. But it is not because you suddenly became more qualified, more talented, or more deserving. It is because you endured. It is because you refused to give up when the weight of waiting pressed on you. It is because you trusted in the unseen when nothing around you made sense. And when the moment finally arrives, when the thing you have prayed for, waited for, fought for stands before you, it will not feel the way you thought it would, because by the time it arrives, you will no longer be the same person who started the journey. The version of you who once longed for it, who once doubted it, who once feared it, that person will no longer exist. The trials you faced, the battles you overcame, the growth you endured have made you someone new, someone stronger, someone wiser, someone capable of holding what is now being given to you. But do not think that the journey ends here. No, the moment of arrival is not the end. It is only the beginning, because with great blessings come great responsibilities. What has been placed in your hands is not just for you. It is bigger than you, greater than you, meant to impact more than just your own life. And that is why the process was necessary. That is why the pruning, the refining, the transformation had to happen first. Because if you had received this before you were ready, you would not have known how to carry it, how to sustain it, how to walk in it. There will be moments when the weight of the blessing feels heavy, when the magnitude of what has been given to you feels overwhelming, when you wonder if you are truly capable of handling what has been placed before you. But in those moments, you must remember that you were chosen for this, that you were prepared for this, that every trial, every lesson, every delay was shaping you for this exact moment. And though the journey has been long, though the waiting has tested you, though the process has stretched you beyond what you thought you could bear, you will look back and see that it was all necessary, that nothing was wasted, that every tear, every setback, every closed door was working together to bring you to this place. And now that you are here, now that the moment has come, you must walk boldly into what has been prepared for you. You must step into it with confidence, with faith, with the unshakable knowing that you were always meant for more. Because the greatest tragedy is not the waiting, it is not the struggle, it is not even the pain of the journey. The greatest tragedy is when someone stands on the edge of their destiny and refuses to step forward, when they allow fear to hold them back, when they let doubt convince them they are not ready, when they shrink back instead of rising up. But that will not be your story, because you have seen the signs, you have felt the shift, you have walked through the fire, and you have come out refined. And now you are ready, ready to embrace what has always been yours, ready to step into the fullness of your purpose, ready to hold the blessing, not with trembling hands, but with the steady assurance that this was always meant to be, ready to rise, to lead, to walk in the greatness that has been calling your name. And when you finally step into it, when you finally take hold of what has been waiting for you, you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that nothing was ever delayed. It was always right on time. And when you stand in the place that was promised, when you feel the weight of the journey behind you and the vastness of what lies ahead, there will be a moment of stillness, a moment when you exhale the fears that once gripped you, when you let go of the doubts that tried to follow you, when you realize that the struggle was never meant to break you, it was meant to build you. Every tear was watering the seeds of your future. Every sleepless night was forging the strength you would need to sustain what was coming. Every season of waiting was preparing you for a reality far greater than you ever imagined. But just because you have arrived does not mean the journey is over. No, this is where the real work begins. This is where you must learn to carry the blessing with wisdom, to steward the opportunity with grace, to walk in the fullness of what has been given to you without shrinking back into old patterns. Because the danger of stepping into something big is not that you will fail, it is that you will forget. Forget the lessons learned in the valley. Forget the faith that sustained you in the wilderness. Forget the process that made you who you are. There will be temptations to return to what is familiar, even when familiarity no longer fits. The mind clings to comfort, even when comfort is the very thing that kept you small. But when something great has been given to you, when the doors have opened and the path has been cleared, you must walk forward with unwavering resolve. You must refuse to let fear masquerade as wisdom. You must silence the voices that try to convince you that you are not enough, because the same force that brought you to this moment will sustain you through it. And there will be new challenges, not of lack, but of abundance, because stepping into greatness requires a new level of responsibility. There will be days when the weight of success feels heavier than the weight of struggle, when the demands of the calling stretch you beyond what you thought you could handle, when the very thing you prayed for requires more of you than you ever expected. But you were made for this. Every battle, every lesson, every season of preparation has equipped you for what is now in your hands. And just as there were signs before the breakthrough, there will be signs along the way that remind you to stay the course. Unexpected confirmations that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Doors that open without force, connections that align without effort, moments that unfold in ways that cannot be explained. But just as there will be signs of alignment, there will also be signs of opposition. Because the greater the calling, the greater the resistance. The higher the elevation, the stronger the winds. And in those moments, you must remember that opposition is not a signal to retreat. It is a sign that you are advancing. The people around you may change. Some will celebrate you. Some will question you. Some will misunderstand you. Because elevation exposes what was always there. Some will rise with you. Others will fall away. And though it may hurt, though it may feel like loss, it is simply another layer of preparation. Because where you are going, not everyone can follow. Not everyone is meant to walk this path with you. And that is not rejection, it is protection. And as you walk forward, as you step into the fullness of your calling, you will begin to see why it had to happen this way, why certain doors had to close, why certain relationships had to end, why the waiting was necessary. Because what is given too soon is often wasted. But what is given in its appointed time is unstoppable. And you will realize that you were never denied, only delayed, only refined, only strengthened, for what was always meant for you. And so you will move forward, not in fear, not in hesitation, but in full confidence that you were created for something greater. You will walk in the fullness of your purpose, no longer weighed down by doubt, no longer bound by fear. You will carry the blessing not as a burden, but as a responsibility. And in doing so, you will inspire others to rise, to believe, to step into their own greatness. And though the journey was long, though the process was painful, though there were moments when you questioned whether it was worth it, you will stand on the other side and know that every tear, every sacrifice, every test was shaping you for this moment, that nothing was wasted, that nothing was in vain, that you were always meant to be here, that you were always meant for more. And now, as you stand on the other side of the waiting, the refining, the stretching, you will understand that none of it was without purpose. Every closed door, every painful goodbye, every season of uncertainty was never meant to break you. It was meant to build you. The road was long, the journey was heavy, but the promise was always sure. You were never forgotten, never abandoned, never overlooked. The preparation was necessary because what is now in your hands is too great to have been given to you without it. The signs were there all along, leading you, guiding you, preparing you. The discomfort, the shifting, the unexpected turns, they were not setbacks, they were setups. And now you are here, standing in the very place you once prayed for, holding the very thing you once thought was beyond your reach. Not because you forced it, not because you manipulated your way into it, but because you endured, because you trusted when there was no proof, because you refused to give up when everything in you wanted to quit. And now you walk forward, not as the same person who started the journey, but as the one who was always meant to finish it. Stronger, wiser, ready,